The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Vinish from WSI ALM here with you with another edition of our Launchpad webinar series, the weekly series that keeps you up to date with everything that's happening in the internet marketing and the SEO field in particular, so that you can share that information with your clients, with your prospects, incorporate that into your newsletters, and be aware of all the latest stuff that's taking place. Great. So we got another action-packed Launchpad webinar for you. A lot of things have taken place. It's been a quiet week the past week or so as far as SEO and the internet marketing industry is concerned. No earth-shattering penguin, panda, hummingbird updates, so which is good. However, there's still some good information that's out there that we're going to bring to you in this webinar. As always, I'm joined by my colleague and my good friend Armando.
Good morning, everyone.
Great. So Armando's got an exciting case study that's lined up for everybody that signed on for this webinar. So he's going to be talking about that quite extensively. And we also have an excellent tool that we'll be showcasing in this webinar. It's a very popular tool that we got a request for, so as to showcase it again, which is what we'd be doing in this particular webinar. All right. So getting started. We follow the usual format. The format is starting off with the latest news and articles for the week. We have the tool of the week that we're going to be reviewing. We'll have a case study, and of course, we'll leave time at the end for plenty of question and answers for the webinar. All right. Okay, so the first news that I'd like to bring to everybody's attention is a new Google penalty that's been introduced, and it's called the image mismatch penalty. And this penalty is now available to you in the Google Webmaster Tools console. So Google's basically saying that if you have an image that's on your website, however, when somebody searches for an image using Google Images, and that same image is not getting displayed in Google Images, and there's a different image that's getting displayed other than the one that's actually on your website, that's going to be an issue, and that's going to be a penalty. So there's a couple of things that we have to keep in mind. You have to make sure that your site is displaying exactly the same images to the users when you're actually viewing it on your website or within the Google image search results. And there's some black hat companies that were basically taking advantage of just give us 1 second here. I'm just going to fix this up. Okay, great. So there's some black hat companies that were taking advantage of a process called anti-hot linking. And what that would do is that it would display two sets of images to Google. One was the image that's actually going to be appearing on your website, and there's a second image that's going to be appearing in Google search results. So they basically have two different images appearing, and that image would not be actually hosted on the client's website. It'd be cloaked and hosted parallelly, giving the information to Google, a different information to Google. So what Google said is that we've caught on to this. If you're playing this game where you're showing two different images, and the image is different from what you're actually showcasing on the website to the visitors, and what you're showcasing are Google image crawler, then you're going to be penalized. And if you look at the screenshot, there's a message over there, a screenshot. So this is the kind of a message you can expect to get in your Google Webmaster Tools console if there is a mismatch as far as the images are concerned. And you can see a comment there by Google that says the reason is images from this site are displayed differently on Google search results pages than they are when they're displayed in this website. And you have to fix it, and then what you do is once you've fixed it, you can request a review. So the crawler is going to come back, crawl the website again, and make sure that there is no issues as far as your image mismatch is concerned. And this brings me to my second point. Once you make sure that your site's images are exactly that as what's getting viewed on the Google Images site, then you can request a review of the image mismatch fix. And that's how you can basically get this fixed up. So it's very important for any black hat marketers out there that are taking advantage of this loophole that Google had, where you could have two images, one image for your website visitors and one image for the Google Images crawler displaying different images. Well, that hole's being plugged, so be very careful so that you don't have your site attracting this penalty. So that was the first news from from Google. Now, the second thing that we wanted to mention was a 2013 Moz industry survey. A very useful survey, that Moz does every year, and there's a lot of interesting facts and information that come about from this survey. The information relates to things like how the companies handle their work, whether they utilize agencies, what percentage do is in-house, what's the average size of the agencies, who's doing inbound marketing on their own, things like tools and technology. So there's a whole bunch of questions. We completed this questionnaire last week. So there's a whole bunch of questions on tools and technology. What software are you using for social media? What software are you using for SEO, for rank checking, rank tracking, for analytics, the budgets and spending, what tools and platforms are the marketers investing in, talking about demographics. And even if you don't want to take the industry survey for the overall benefit of the industry survey, because it is quite powerful and beneficial, I would suggest just taking the industry survey so as to even make yourself aware of all these tools that are out there. Because when you're taking these questions, a lot of the questions revolve around multiple choice responses. So you can actually see what are the tools out there, because if you made it to the survey, rest assured, that's a tool that you should be aware of and you should be testing out. So if that tool's made it in the survey, then that's a good tool to be aware of. So just take the survey just so that you're aware of all these tools that are out there, what kind of questions they're asking. However, the information that comes out of this survey is really, really beneficial, quite powerful. So all you need to do is just go onto the moz.org website, and their industry survey is advertised quite aggressively, and that's where you can take the industry survey. Great. Moving on, so Matt Cutts answered a very burning question for a lot of us out there that had this question, and that was to do with responsive design versus a mobile site. So one of the readers asked him a question very specifically saying, is there any downside to SEO when it comes to responsive design as opposed to a traditional m.domainname.com? Because that's normally how we set up mobile sites. We'll have m.domainname.com. So there was a very specific question that was asked of Matt Cutts. Does the responsive design impact or have no impact on the SEO either way? Is there any impact, a negative impact for responsive design and SEO? And for the ones that are not aware of what responsive design is the latest technology that you should be using when you're constructing websites, when you're building websites. Primarily because what responsive does is that you don't really have to worry about what browser, what tablet, what phone, what smartphone those websites going to be viewed in. The responsive design kicks in based on the screen resolution of the device that the website is being viewed in, and then it reconstructs the website based on the screen resolution size for that website. So let's say if you're looking at a website in an iPad as opposed to looking at a website in a BlackBerry, or as opposed to looking at a website in a traditional desktop, the website is going to realign its elements based on the size of the tablet or the size of the device that you're looking at the website, and organize it so that the information is presented to the viewer in a very aesthetically appealing and a call to action oriented manner. So that's basically what responsive design is all about. So this individual asked Matt Cutts a question saying that when I do responsive web design, is there any downside to SEO? So Matt Cutts' response was, no, do not worry about any negative SEO impacts when you're doing responsive design. As a matter of fact, it is great. It's a recommended way to go so as to provide good visitor experience. So there is no downside as far as SEO aspects are concerned to utilizing responsive design for your clients. So that was a nice little statement that he made there, clearing the air with regards to any misconception that there is as far as responsive web design and SEO is concerned. So that was a good video. There's a video on this as well. It's a very quick video. It's a 2-minute video that Matt Cutts has posted online in Search Engine Land. The link is right here at the bottom of our screen. So feel free to take a look at this video, and Matt Cutts actually goes into a little bit of more detail and explains his response at length. Great. Moving on, this would be quite interesting for our UK and especially the ICs that are actually based out of London that are logged in. Google's launched something called Google Internet Information Kiosks. Now these kiosks are primarily aimed at visitors that are coming or tourists that are coming to the city, and then basically they can, these are interactive kiosks, they can get information about locations, tourist hotspots, or any other information that they're looking for. And Google's launched this all across London. I'm not sure if any of the ICs have seen this, or you can probably tweet out pictures of these information kiosks all over London. That'd be interesting to see. And the whole idea again is is for Google to try and see how they can put the information out there for the people when they need it. So that's the whole premise behind this. And this is a test that they're doing in London right now to try and see as to how this works out. And if it works out well, then they are also incorporating these information kiosks all across North America. But they've launched this in London as a test bed to try and see how this helps visitors and tourists that are coming into London and give them access to information. Some of you also might be aware of this whole controversy with the Google barge. There was a couple of barges that were seen floating around. There was one in Portland. There was one in San Francisco, I believe, where there was basically like Google had these barges that were parked or were floating on the river in the water, and they were just basically like big containers. And there was a lot of buzz about what really was, and what was Google trying to do with these Google barges. And they disclosed the fact that this was to do with Google Glass. So it's kind of like a floating showroom that they have for Google Glass, and I believe not even the mayor of the city was aware of what was in there in this barge and how Google was planning to use it. But it is a showroom, a showcase for Google Glass, which is a product that they've been trying to be very innovative and creative with, and try and provide more information, especially just right in your eyes when you need it. So they've also done a test with about 1,700 marketers. They've given out Google Glasses to 1,700 marketers who had to buy them, as a matter of fact, $1,500 for a pair of Google Glasses, and are testing it out, testing out the bugs, and reporting back to Google. So they're doing a lot of interesting things. I mean, the Internet Information Kiosks is one, the Google Barges, the Google Glass showrooms, that's another one. So let's see what's in store with Google next. Always exciting with them. So that was another really good article when it comes to conversations not involving rank reports with Moz. So this was a whiteboard that was recently done, I believe the Friday of last week, where the individual talked about how your discussions with your clients don't necessarily always have to involve rank reports, but should be actually engaged on some other topics that are very important when it comes to really adding value as far as your clients are concerned. And these conversations should primarily revolve around conversion-oriented numbers with your clients. And he goes on to break down the points of conversations, not just involving ranking reports, but 4 distinct facts that you should be getting from your clients when you try and get them on board. So one of the first questions that he likes to tackle is, how much of new business can you handle? Let's say when we engage together. So if we start working together, how much of new business can you actually handle? So the client gives them a number. In this case, it's like, yep, I think I can probably handle another 200 clients. That's potentially what I can do. Then the next question that the individual goes on to ask them is, how many calls or walk-ins do you have right now that are coming in terms of leads? So how many leads are you getting from calls and walk-ins right now? In this particular example, the client was in the medical industry, so they would be getting a lot of calls, few walk-ins, but they were getting a lot of calls that were coming in. And the client mentioned that there was about 148 of them. Then he goes on to talk about the lead conversion rates. So he talks about, out of the 148, how many is the client actually able to convert into visitors, into signups, whether they sign up for a service one time or they sign up for a service on an ongoing basis. What kind of conversion rates are the potential is the potential client looking at? So the client responded by telling him that there's probably about 118 signups that they get out of these 148 calls or walk-ins that get generated. So there's 118 signups that they're getting, which means that once a lead is getting generated, that's the 148 mark, the lead conversion rate is around 80%. So what the individual, this marketer, is trying to do is that he's trying to reverse engineer this, and now he's got three sets of data that are very important that he needs in order to reverse engineer this whole statistic. So he's got the first data set, which is how much new business does a client want? Because the client has to have a goal, and that's essentially the goal that this client has identified for him, which is 200 clients. Then he wants to gauge the current conversion rates and the current lead generation rates for the client. So he gets that data with the second and the third question, where in the second question the client says that he's getting about 148 leads coming in, calls or walk-ins, and he's converting about 118 out of 148. So he's got a conversion rate of about 80%. Now the goal is, how do we get the 200 clients that the client is looking for on a monthly basis? So he looks at, the next stat that he looks at is how many visits is the client getting? How many unique visitors is the client getting through the website? So in this instance, the client is getting about 3,900 visits, 3,904 to be precise. So there's 3,904 visits that the client is getting, and when you look at the current calls and walk-ins that are coming in, that's 148. So 3,900 visits to the website, unique visits to the website, results in 148 calls or walk-ins every single month for the client, which means the website to the business ratio is at about 3%. So this is a very interesting, a very important statistic to discover for your clients based on what's taking place right now, and then match the numbers up with the unique visits that the website is getting. Now bear in mind that there'll be some other factors where, a lot of these conversions or calls and walk-ins would have come through referrals or other sources, which is fine, but the idea is to get a general estimate of what the website to the business conversion rate is, which in this case is about 3%, which is pretty good. So now the marketer reverse engineers these numbers, and he says, okay, to get 200 pieces of new business, the client basically needs to get a couple of metrics in play. They need to have their visits up to 6,700 a month. That's what they need to do, which is going to result in 250 calls or walk-ins based on the 3% conversion rate that we're looking at. And these 250 calls or walk-ins are going to result in 200 new clients for this particular account that the marketer has based on an 80% conversion rate. So you see how he's basically started off with the goals that the client is setting for the campaign, and then based on that he reverse engineers the numbers. And if he's a smart marketer, well, the next thing that he's going to do is, in order for me to get you 6,700 visits, here's what we need to do, and break down a full sort of a campaign strategy for the client, whether it's an integrated strategy, which is a combination of SEO, PPC, social, or if it's like just a combination of an SEO and a PPC strategy, because SEO takes time, PPC results in traffic literally overnight. So that's when you can strategize and discover a campaign that's going to make sense for a client, and also manage the client's expectations based on their budget, because they might not have the budget so as to bring in that much of new business. And that's a disconnect that comes in right from the beginning of the campaign. And I believe Armando, a couple of webinars back, a couple of weeks back, had touched base on this mismatch when it comes to goals and aspirations that you're setting up with your clients. You might get a client on a local campaign or a local package that's expecting a certain number of conversions in terms of goals to be hit from that campaign, but that might just not be realistic, because that's not enough budget for us to put the metrics in play so as for the metrics to justify the numbers and bring in that much new business. Which is why it's very important to do the step right in the onset, work with the client, become their partner, strengthen that relationship, so that this way you're both talking the same numbers, and the budget that the client's spending with you is good enough for you to generate this kind of a return that the client is expecting. Otherwise, you're better off just managing the client expectations, right in the onset itself. You can report on organic, referral, direct, paid, social. So you can break the traffic numbers down looking at analytics and all these 5 different areas. And then you can also look at things like call tracking and how effective that is. So the idea is the conversation should not always be about, I went up position 1, I went up position 2, talking about ranks, but the conversations are more goal and conversion oriented, which is really what the clients are after at the end of the day. You can try and justify your monthly retainers by showing them ranking reports to any degree that you want, but that's not going to necessarily ensure their campaign renewal, because what they're really looking for is conversions. What they're really looking for is sales. So it's very good to incorporate that discussion early on, so you put the client in that mindset. A really good webinar. I suggest you take a look at it. It's on moz.org. If you just go into the Moz blog and then just check out the Friday whiteboards webinar session, that's when they covered this topic quite extensively and in detail. But that's effectively been summarized for you over there. Great. So one of the things that that the ICs and feedback that we got was to repeat this particular slide that we had showcased a couple of weeks back in our Launchpad session. The ICs loved it. They wanted us to showcase this once again, just kind of take everybody through this particular slide and showcase the 7 best ways to make your search results stand out. And this is a great post, visually very interesting and visually also very understandable on what needs to really be done so as to make your search results stand out. And your endeavor should be that every single URL that's being optimized for your client, your company, should really have these 7 elements in there so as to make it stand out when it comes to conversions. Because remember, it's not just about rankings, it's about conversions. Because it's all about the amount of real estate that you have on the first page with Google. We showcased an example of Google authorship and eye tracking studies last week in our webinar, if you'd attended that, where eye tracking studies prove that the results that have Google authorship, even if they're low down in the results, like the position 7 or position 8, are getting a lot of eyeballs viewing them and supposedly clicking on the authorship results as well. But so it's been confirmed with eye tracking that the more real estate that you have, visual real estate as well, it's going to make an impact in your search result. Doesn't matter what position you are on the first page of Google. Even if you're number 2 or number 7, people are going to look at you if you have more real estate on that page. So Matt basically talked about 7 ways to make your search results stand out. The first method that he talked about was an interesting page title. Should be keyword focused. Again, there's a lot of discussion with regards to what an effective page title is right now. We're obviously focusing on the page title being focused on 1 keyword per page. It's okay if the home page is targeted to 2 keywords, up to 2 keywords, just because it's the most powerful page on your website. It's got the most SEO juice, and then it starts spreading into the rest of the pages of your website. So it's okay if you're probably optimizing 2 or so keywords on your home page in the page title tag. Just make sure it's very specific, very focused. There's discussion and there's testing that we're doing right now with regards to page titles that are more seamless and not keyword oriented, so that are more like keyword phrase oriented, that are answering questions so as to sync in with the Hummingbird update that Google did recently, where it's all about longer tail keywords, longer conversations, longer phrases being typed in Google, as opposed to very specific keyword oriented searches. And that's what Google's moving towards. So that's something that we're testing out right now in terms of longer tail and smoother keyword titles, as opposed to very rigid keywords that are being utilized in the titles. We'll keep you posted on what we're seeing as far as results are concerned. But the idea is have a nice crisp page title that really talks about what you do, who you are as a company, sticks to the character limit, which is about 65 characters, so that your entire title is displayed nice and clean to Google. Utilize a nice strong permalink, which is basically your website URL. So have a nice strong website URL. If you have an exact, like an EMD, an exact match domain, great. However, if you're starting out and you think that the exact match domain is going to give you an advantage when it comes to ranking high for that particular search, unfortunately you're a little bit late in the game, because Google has kind of negated that benefit with the EMD update. But if you already have a domain, we've seen that the EMD update hasn't really negated the benefit that you get from an exact match. We're still seeing a lot of sites rank high that have exact match domains. So older sites are still benefiting from it, but if you're a new site, you're jumping into the fray, you're just registering a domain name, it doesn't matter if you have an exact match domain or not. It's really all about other aspects associated with your website, most importantly content. Make sure that your search is localized. And this is a challenge for some of the bigger brands. So based on the discussions that are ongoing in the industry, this whole localization of searches has really impacted the bigger brands. Now the bigger brands, when it comes to like branded searches, when it comes to their main products, are still benefiting because they have Google's trust, so they're still ranking quite well. But what's happening in the search landscape is that localized companies that are more specialized, that are more targeted in their service offerings that they have, are beating these brand name searches hands down when it comes to local targeted searches. So it's a huge issue right now for big brand name marketers so as to overcome these localized companies that are doing so much better when it comes to a targeted service that's geocentric, that's localized to their particular category or their location, or to their particular city. And that's a huge challenge right now for a lot of the big brand marketers to try and crack, because Google seems to be giving advantage and benefit to localization a lot. So if you are localized, then the idea is to definitely incorporate the localization in your page title, because that again is sending out a nice clear signal to Google. It's sending out a nice strong call to action oriented title. It's going to improve your click-through rates. And as we know with Google right now, and when it comes to search results, it's all about click-through rates as well, because they want to see good high click-through rates and high page times that visitors are spending on your website. So the power of localization cannot be ignored anymore. If you have a nice localized site now product, include that right there in the title as well. The next aspect is something that is, again, we are seeing very underutilized with companies, with websites, with marketers out there, which is to utilize your description as your most powerful text that's associated with your result that people are looking at. You literally have to spend a lot of time in that description and craft a description that has a right blend of meeting Google's character limits when it comes to a description, which is about 150 characters, utilizing strong call to action on the website, so incorporating call to action elements like having a phone number or advertising a particular offer that you want to promote for your client, whether it's a free white paper download, whether it's a complimentary quote, whether it's free shipping, whatever you want to do, you have to put that in there in your description, because your description's getting displayed by Google in their search results. And think about it from a visitor's perspective. When I'm looking for a product and a service, and I type in a particular keyword in Google, and I'm looking at all these results that are coming up, I'm going to try and make sense of every single call to action item that's being put into the description tag. And if I see that your description is talking about what makes most sense for me, which is things like free shipping, all sizes available, if I'm shopping for like, clothes or shoes or what have you, all sizes available, in stock, or if it's a particular product related search, I'm going to be looking at all these factors. So your description has to be cut and clean, it's got to be precise, and it's got to have a nice strong call to action that really entices the visitors to look at it, take action on it, click on it, and basically generate the result that you're looking for when it comes to that call to action. So the description is very underutilized, and we see this quite a lot. The authorship tag, we've talked about this quite extensively, and if you attended our previous webinar last week, we talked about how eye tracking studies have confirmed that it does not matter where you are on the first page of Google. If you do have the Google authorship tag incorporated and you have your image in there, it's going to get eyeballs. People are going to look at it. So it's very important to incorporate authorship. It's very important to give your website a personality, give your website a spokesperson, and this spokesperson is the one that's marketing your website out there, and he is the face of your company. So it's really important to incorporate authorship in your results, in your website. Again, if you're a local-based company, very important to have a map listing. Again, it's not just for the local companies. This is also becoming really important for like big brand names. If you're a Walmart, if you're a Sobeys, if you're a Macy's, you all have to try and start incorporating the local addresses, so that when people are searching in any part of the world, the localization kicks in, and they're going to start seeing locations for those stores close to where their geolocation is when it comes to whatever device that they're searching from. And as you know, devices are also really smart now when it comes to geotagging your location and then giving you location-specific results. So it's very important to tag your map listing with your website. Just kind of blend in the Google local along with your organic. Google's known to do that. So incorporate your map listing in your main search results. Make sure that you're personalizing this. And the next news item that we're going to talk about in our next slide relates to this quite extensively, because Google's made a very important change that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, and that has to do with personalization. So ensure that you're writing Google reviews, utilizing a Google Plus page, you're getting reviews from your clients, and share your content through the Google Plus page, because this is going to start having a big influence when it comes to how people in your network are surfing the internet. So that's really important for you to start incorporating Google reviews in, because this is going to have a huge impact when it comes to your network of people, your network of friends, your network of followers when they're browsing the internet. And I'm going to talk about that in a second as to what that changes. And of course, last but not the least, reviews. And I love to use the analogy of my doctor that I visited. I gone down to my clinic a couple of weeks back, and I finished it. I had a great experience with him, and I actually complimented him, and I told him that the service in your clinic was impeccable. It was phenomenal. He's really happy to hear that, of course. But he told me something really interesting. He's like, Finish, when you check out, please ask my receptionist to give you a little slip, and that slip is where you can give me reviews online. Which kind of intrigued me as a search marketer. So when I went outside, I asked the receptionist for like, hey, the doc asked me to kind of check with you because you're supposed to give me something to write a review. She actually tore, and she had these little slips that were made out, just made out on paper, just printouts, and she tore a part of the slip that basically gave me 2 links where I could write reviews for this doctor. So there was a doctor-related website where you could actually talk about your comments for the particular doctor and how everything worked out. That was one link that they gave us. And then the second link was Yelp. We all know again how powerful Yelp is becoming in the search landscape. They just made $60 million in profits when it comes to their own company and how they're standing out. So Yelp's becoming really important. So the idea is a couple of things. One, make sure that you're getting reviews. You don't have to get reviews by just emailing people and encouraging them to put reviews. There's a whole methodology on how you can solicit reviews from people. And this analogy that I just gave to you is a perfect example of how you can be innovative and creative when it comes to getting reviews. And yes, I definitely gave my doctor a review on both the sites. Very intrigued with this whole process, and the fact that he was so adamant about these reviews, and had his receptionist incorporate a whole process around reviews. If somebody just tells you, hey, just give me a review on Yelp, most likely you're gonna forget about it. But he was actually tearing out this piece of paper so that you could keep it with you, and then you could actually refer to that and give this doctor a link or a positive review on any of these websites. So that was an interesting process. So we repeated this slide because there was a lot of discussion from the ICs, and they wanted us to kind of cover this once again. So that's what we basically did. Moving on. So this was the news item that I wanted to talk to you about, which is going to make an impact. It's going to make a difference. That is Google's shared endorsements. So what Google's done, and this is just a couple of days old, a really interesting piece of information. Google's now going to start showing profile names and photos through the shared endorsement settings in your Google Plus account in other listings. So if you're connected to somebody's network and you've commented on it, that person's comment with their picture, with their review and everything is going to start appearing in your results. Because again, the whole idea is that Google wants you to have the best experience possible, and if people in your network are recommending something, then Google wants to tell you that that particular result, that particular product, that particular service, that particular hotel, that particular resort has been reviewed by somebody in your own network. Here's his name, here's his face, here's his review. So now it's again all about personalization, because Google wants to give you the best results. You can control the use of your profile names and your photos in the shared endorsement settings. That's in your account, and users that are going to choose the off setting are going to prevent their names and photos from appearing in any ad. Again, there's a plus side to the story and there's a downside to the story. The plus side of the story is that it's a genuine effort by Google so as to improve search results for yourself and so as to incorporate the feedback of your network that you've built into your results so that you can make your search decisions and your click activity on search engines more confidently because you're looking at your network recommending a lot of the results. So that's a plus side to it. Of course, there's a pretty big downside to this as well. One of the biggest downsides to this is lack of privacy. So if you're in somebody's network and you're commenting on things out there and you're logged in, now Google can just pick up that information, pick up your face and display it anywhere they want. And that's included in their terms of conditions, and they recently modified the terms of conditions as well so as to incorporate this change. The other thing is that it doesn't stop somebody from incorporating a picture of Barack Obama or Eric Schmidt or anybody famous for that matter, putting that in their profile and then commenting on other people's networks so that when your results coming up and you want to push your result and validate that with a pretty a celebrity endorsement, there you go. There's no stopping that. It's like a little nightmare Google's kind of created with this whole personalization. Facebook did it as well with their sponsored ads. They were showcasing personalization and results based on your network. So Facebook's been doing it. This is Google's way of incorporating your network into their searches. But again, as I mentioned to you, there's an upside and a downside. The downside is that nothing stops you from putting anybody's picture and then commenting on it and getting your listing validity by utilizing this. Again, Google understands that, realizes it. They're trying to make changes and strengthen things so that that sort of an abuse does not happen. So we'll wait and see as to how this whole thing materializes. But this is the newest thing that Google's launched, which is Google's shared endorsements now appearing in your network. Great. Moving on, I'm going to pass on the mic to Armando. He's actually going to take you through a nice little case study that we prepared for you. And after the case study, we're going to be doing the SEO tool for the week. So at this stage, I'll hand over the mic to Armando. Armando, take it away.
Thank you, Anish. Yep, we thought this week that we should, kind of freshen things up and kind of talk about the case study before we go into the tool, because Anish is going to take some time with the tool of the week. What I wanted to showcase this week is actually a private school in Vancouver, Waldorf School, which is actually a private school for different ages. And I think that we mentioned this case study probably in the beginning when we started the first webinar. So we talked about the Google Grants AdWords campaign. So I just wanted to kind of bring you back to where we are with this client in the past 3 months. And interestingly enough, want to showcase a few of the the pros that have happened with the client since we began working with them. Initially, the IC Kelly, who started working with the Waldorf School, we started a relationship based on signing them up for the Google Grants AdWords program, which they actually qualified, and shortly after that we began working on the campaigns to get them up and running. The second thing that Kelly was successfully able to win was an SEO contract as well. And both SEO and PPC have been working together to generate some results. So just to kind of give you a few highlights on the SEO campaign, when we started three months ago, we were focusing on, in this case, 4 locations: Vancouver, Burnaby, North and West Vancouver. And we have been able to do this through a number of optimized content writing pieces, developing successful on-site SEO strategies, and also the off-site having different PR pieces related to the client's news and updates, etc., as well as strategic link building. Okay, the only thing that the client's currently doing right now and managing is their website, and also which they use a third-party company, and they're managing their social media in-house. However, they are very they participate with us. They're very collaborative in our efforts to continue to work with the project. So if Vinish can just can take us to the next slide,
Yep.
just to kind of. So far in the past 3+ months that we've been actually been able to successfully launch the organic and the PPC campaigns, overall search traffic has increased by 52%, and I mean the numbers are pretty high compared to the type of traffic that they were generating previously. What happened here was, because they weren't really tracking it via Google Analytics, we actually took the data for the past 3+ months and averaged it out, and we've actually seen an increase of within the past 3 months of 52% just by looking at the existing data, and that's the overall organic search, meaning Google, Bing, Yahoo, and even we even get some traffic from AOL. In addition, we also noticed that Google organic itself has increased 45%. Now, partly some of the reason is that the keywords that we're ranking for prior to working with the client, they were non-existent. Keywords such as private schools, private school education. We had a series of 10 keywords that we are targeting, and we noticed that organically that has had an effect. Now, obviously, because of the no data rule, we can't really see all the impact, but we can tie it back to the optimization that's happening on site, and by also looking at some of the trends in reporting, not only in Google Analytics, but driving it back to the PPC AdWords campaign. And overall visits have increased by over 20%. The PPC, just kind of want to spend a little bit of time on this because sometimes we do get questions from ICs asking us, okay, so if I sign up a school and we actually are able to successfully get the Google Grants AdWords program, how does it actually work? When we started working with this campaign, the traffic or the amount of ad spend was actually $200 a month. The first 1 and 2 months we actually started with a very, very low budget, $200 a month, and that was because we were still testing things out. We're trying to incorporate different strategies to expand the campaigns. And in the third month, because now we're in our fourth month, in the third month, last month, we actually managed to generate approximately $900 in AdWords, Google AdWords, which is obviously this free advertising through the Google Grants program, and we're projected to go to $1,500 per month this fourth month. So the key thing is that if you are speaking with clients out there about the Google Grants program, even though you do get a license of $10,000 in advertising, it doesn't mean that right away you're going to be using up all your expenditure credits. It means that we're going to be helping you expand that campaign one step at a time. And obviously, the whole goal is to get it up to 10,000. For example, we're working with Plant Canada, and I believe Anish, it's been probably well over a year or 2 years with them, and we're at what, 25,000-30,000 per month?
That's right, that's right. And unfortunately, Google's now capped the Google Grants at $10,000. So in the past, what would happen was that if your organization, if your nonprofit hit $10,000 consistently for a period of 3 months, then Google would actually open up the next tier for the grants program, which was $40,000 a month, because they saw you making good use of it. Unfortunately, they have discontinued that, so the maximum grant that can be awarded from the Google Grants program now for nonprofits and charities is capped at $10,000 a month.
Which is still a good deal, given that you're getting free advertising exposure, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So don't mention the 30,000 to your clients. Just talk to them about the 10,000 per month budget. And when we started the campaign, just to kind of highlight and end on this point, we actually started probably with about 200, 300 keywords that we were focusing on as we were testing the waters for this program. Because at the same time, we have to abide by different restrictions that are given by Google. I mean, we can't really bid more than $2 per keyword, so we're limited in the type of keywords that we can aggressively go after. But by working with the PPC in-house team here at WSI ALM, we've been able to now kind of generate 1,500 related keywords and expanding that number, so that way we can continue to increase our reach and be able to hit the 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 advertising expenditure. Overall, even though we're only at 3+ months with the client, we've been seeing successful results with both the SEO and PPC program working together. The next stage is to work with the client to tie him down a little bit and to get what Vinicius just spoke about, which is really conversions and trying to see how we can continue to increase his online donations, people donating because it's a private school, and number two, also increasing registration. So that's the next stage in the life cycle of this client. So I'll keep you posted as we continue to grow with the Waldorf School. Okay, Vinicius, that's a case study for this week.
Excellent. Great. Thanks, Armando. Again, if you'd like to utilize any of our case studies that we're showcasing in our webinars, please shoot us an email so we can actually provide you with some more information. Also get explicit approval from the IC, whose case study we're showcasing, and then we can of course provide you more information on any of these related case studies that you want to utilize in your own vertical, in your own market. That potentially might be related to the case studies that we're showcasing in our webinars. So feel free to shoot us an email. Great. Moving on. So the tool of the week that we're going to be reviewing is SEM Rush. Again, this was a request from a lot of ICs. They wanted to get a review of this tool and utilize its effectiveness. So we'd be covering this tool in this current webinar right now. So let's go into the SEM Rush tool and showcase the power of this tool. Again, I just want to highlight the fact that we do not get any endorsements, any payments when it comes to showcasing the tools that we're showcasing in our webinars. This is strictly done on merit, strictly based on the tools that we feel give the best bang for our buck when it comes to utilizing these tools in our own research. So the first thing that you do when you go to the SEM Rush interface is you type in the domain name that you want to check as far as their information is concerned, and you can actually drill down to Google US, Google UK, Canada, Russia, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Brazil, Australia, and they've also incorporated Bing.com for the US now, and they're continuously ramping this up. So as you can see, you can actually get some geolocalized results depending on your location and where your clients are based, whether they're based out of the US, UK, or any of these countries that are mentioned over here, and get some very specific information on them. One of the main reasons that I want to specify why we love to use this tool is because of this one feature, which is, if you look at this update over here, the live update for organic keywords for this particular client, you can see that this shows you 359. And that number 359 basically represents the total number of keywords that this client is ranking for in the top 20 in Google. And we've done a search for Google US right now. So for Google US, as you can see, Google US, the client's website, this client is ranking for 359 keywords when it comes to the positions in Google. Now, if I want a full report, I can just click on the full report tab at the bottom, and then it's going to open up the list for me. So it's just loading up as we speak, and populating all of the keywords. They've also increased the frequency of the updates as far as the ranking that their reports that they're giving, because that was a challenge in the past. So they're working on increasing the frequency of the ranking reports. So if you look over here, so you can actually see all of the 359 keywords with the specific keyword, the position that they have right now, their previous position is in brackets, the search volume related to that keyword that's pulled from different data sources that SEM Rush utilizes, the current CPC for this keyword. So look at this keyword, call center statistics. I mean, $7 for this keyword, and the client was ranking in the third position, is number one for this keyword. Very important, they actually give you the URL that's ranking for this keyword so that you know what URL it is that you need to be protecting once you've got that URL to rank for a particular keyword. In this case, it was the VPI blog, the blog portion of this website, and a blog that was written about 40 stats that are shaping the future of contact centers, which is ranking for call center statistics. The percentage of traffic that you're getting with this position. So the client's ranking in the first position, they're getting about 5% of the traffic. The Google Trends, so they actually incorporate the Google Trends API, showcase that. how many results are appearing for this keyword in Google US. So if you type this keyword in, there's 238 million websites that are actually showcasing up for this keyword. And what was the last update that was done for this ranking of the statistic in this database, in this result that we pulled up? You have the option to export this report, so you can export it into PDF, into Excel, into a CSV, and then play around with this information. You can sort it, arrange the information in. And one of the most amazing ways we utilize this tool gives us the ability for is when a client's coming on board. Prior to coming on board, we do a quick rank check on SEM Rush to try and see as to all the keywords that they're ranking for. The beauty with this tool is that you don't necessarily have to type in the keywords so as to see what their ranks are. This does it for you. It actually scans the website, looks at the keywords that are prevalent in the website, and then checks their ranks and reports back to you on the total number of organic keywords that a website is ranking for, without you actually having to prompt any keywords into this information box over here. So that's really powerful because we're not sure of what all keywords there are that a site's potentially ranking for, and so the SEM Rush tool does all of this for us. So this helps us identify the low-hanging fruit right in the beginning that we can take advantage of and get the client to rank for. So what we do is that we look at all the keywords that are ranking 6 to 10 and 11 to 20, and then the goal becomes for our campaign when we start the campaign, so is to take these keywords, especially the high volume ones that are from the 6th to the 20th position, and to try and bump them up in the top 5. That becomes our goal immediately. The second very powerful way to utilize this tool and this data, the organic keywords data for this tool, is when you're doing SEO for a client, you're inherently giving them a benefit of not just the core keywords that you're optimizing for the client, but you're also getting them a benefit across the board for a lot of other keywords for their website, because you're overall increasing the strength of the website from an SEO perspective. So that just doesn't have the benefit for organic keywords. It also has a benefit for other keywords that the site starts to rank for. And this is, again, great information for you to build that trust, that rapport, that relationship with a client, where you not only show them results for the keywords that you're specifically targeting and the progress that you're showing every month, you also start highlighting these wins that you're having with some of the other keywords that are benefiting from this core optimization that's taking place in the website. So that's really key, so as to always be providing that extra bit of information to a client so as to win their trust, win their confidence, and invest in that long-term relationship by giving them bits and pieces of information like this, where it's all about, look, with all the work that we're doing, you're not just benefiting in these core group of 10 keywords that we're ranking for, you're also benefiting in these additional 50 keywords that we have your site ranked. And look, here's the results before the optimization, here's where the keywords are ranking now, because you can do rank checks and rank comparisons. So one of the most powerful ways that we use this tool is this organic keyword ranking report. In addition to that, they give you information on your competitors, your position changes, positions for your top 200 keywords, and there's a whole bunch of other information over here as well. There's ad research where you can take a look at your history, and you can look at who are your competitors in this industry that are basically bidding on keywords that are very similar. They have AdSense advertisers, publishers, if you want to monetize your website, if you want to make money off your website. This is in beta stages, but you can actually take a look at who the top 30 AdSense publishers are, what are they utilizing, what industries are they making money on, what keywords are they utilizing to make money on, if you want to utilize AdSense as a revenue strategy. They also have their own backlinks research as well, so what domains, root domains, URLs are pointing back to your website that you basically want information done for. Really good keyword research tool. You can utilize that as well. There's rank reports that you can track. However, if there's one thing, then only one thing that you had to utilize this tool for is this organic keyword report, which is phenomenal. And we've looked for a lot of other tools out there, and there is no other tool that actually gives you information without actually typing in the keyword itself. Only SEM Rush so far has been able to do it, and even though the results are a little bit off when it comes to positions, but we found them to be about 70 to 80% accurate in the past, but now their accuracy has actually gone up to about 90%. So even if you just had to subscribe just for this one particular piece of information, it's well worth it. Now, we already have the subscription, so if there's information that you need as far as your prospects are concerned to see what they're ranking for already, or some of your current clients or competitors, you want to do some competitive research, just shoot myself or Armando an email, and we can definitely have our team pull all the data or stats on competitors, on your clients, on all the organic keywords that the clients and competitors are ranking for, and send that over to you, so as to help you, assist you in your keyword strategy that you're developing for your prospects or for your clients. We can definitely do that for you. So feel free to shoot us an email when it comes to that. So that was essentially like a quick overview of the SEM Rush tool. And then again, just kind of finishing off with a little bit about WSI ALM. I think you already know a lot about us. Won't spend a lot of time, but if you have any information, any prospects that you want us to talk to you about, again, feel free to reach myself or Armando. Our contact information is right here, armando@wsilm.com or info@wsilm.com. You can call our call center at any point in time. We get a message right away, and we'll do our best to give you a call right back. That's our toll-free number. It's 24 hours, so you can leave a message anytime for a call back. Or you can also Skype with Armando. You can add him into your Skype account, armando.wsilm, and we'd be definitely here to assist you with anything we can. Excellent. Moving on to questions. So I'm just going to open up the questions window, take all the questions. Okay, so I'm going to start all the way from the bottom. Great, got a lot of questions in this webinar. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the top, and then we'll start taking the questions. Okay, so John has the first question. What benefit was there to having two sets of images? So basically what there's a process called hot linking of images, John, and it's a black hat tactic where you can basically have two sets of images, one image displayed on your website and one image displayed to the Google search engine, and you can have misleading alt tags associated with these two sets of images, leading to cloaking, leading to a better keyword optimization because you're utilizing two different sets of images. Yet when the visitor actually comes to your website, they're seeing something different from what the Google bot is seeing. So two sets, different sets of information so as to over-optimize a particular image were being utilized, and that's really what Google's come down pretty hard on, because as you can see, if with analytics, Google image searches that are reported in the referral activity in analytics are on the rise. So it's an important way to get traffic. Mark has a question, is the localized reading coming from the page title? Yeah, that's correct, Mark. So in that example that we'd utilized in that particular listing, the individual had very specifically added Reading, California in their title tag. So that was a part of their title tag. So yes, it was being picked up from the meta title tag that was incorporated on the website. Daniel has a question. He asks about for virtual companies and consultancies, is there a penalty for not having the map listing? There's no penalty as such, Daniel, but you're missing out on a huge piece of local optimization. So if you are a virtual company or a consultancy, I suggest you take a look at a couple of areas. One is Google Groups. There's a lot of discussion information. I believe Dave Steer put out a couple of posts when it comes to local, and there's a couple of other ICs. I apologize, I'm forgetting the names, but they had quite an extensive discussion on this issue of virtual companies and what they should be doing for their map listings. Because you can have your home address listed in there, Daniel, and then there is an option where you can check off in Google in the back end that says do not display my address. So just for validation purposes, even if you're a virtual company or consultancy, you can provide your home address and then have Google not display that. But at least it's not the best way to compete in a competitive marketplace if you have others that are doing this, but at least it's a way forward so you can take advantage of Google Maps to a certain extent. Okay, so we have Darren. Shout out to Darren. There's a question regarding a case study and the foundational plan overall. Are you incorporating all of these new learnings that you're sharing with us each week? Authorship, Google reviews, image mismatch, Google share endorsements, localized. we're doing our best, Darren, to keep up. There's just so many changes that are taking place, so we're definitely incorporating a lot of the stuff in our packages that we have, which includes things like Google authorship, includes things like the newer methods of utilizing meta tags on websites, which is to incorporate the Hummingbird update that just happened recently, trying to focus on one keyword per page. So those are things that we've gotten very stringent about. The quality of links that we're building is another thing that we've gotten very stringent about. We showcased one of the tools that we use for building links for our clients, which is the WhiteSpark Citation Finder tool. Very effective tool to find local citations and quality citations, links that we can build for our clients. So that's something that we're utilizing quite aggressively. Now, a lot of the things when it comes to a process orientation, we can incorporate that internally, without really having a revenue impact. But then there's other stuff that does have a revenue impact associated with it, and which is where we try and pitch that on as an upsell, and then you have the opportunity to pitch that as an upsell to your clients, so that everybody makes money over here. So we try to do the best that we can with the current pricing and the packages that we have, but then we obviously offering a lot of the other stuff as an add-on to the current package arrangement, so that we can keep up to date with all the trends that are taking place in the SEO industry. Mark Patton has a question. Is the Google grant for search only or also for display and retargeting? Unfortunately, at this stage right now, Mark, it's only for search. You cannot have a Google grant ad appear in display or any sort of retargeting. And the reason for this is that they do not want, they have to pay the people money out, especially when it comes to display, when it comes to the AdSense. Because if you have a display ad coming up on your website, then Google's got to pay you money every time somebody clicks on that ad. So that's a direct revenue loss for them. So they don't obviously want to do that. So you can utilize Google grants for search at this current moment. James Triana has a question. Hey James, so with regards to the PPC campaign of the case study, I'm having a tough time justifying the recommended ad spend by Reach Local with potential prospects. They always say the lower budget may not get your ads visible. So how do I accurately recommend an ad budget? Just something that I'm having difficulty with. Great question, James. Again, I'm not going to comment on Reach Local. That's it's a preferred supplier within the WSI network, so I'm not going to comment on them specifically. But the idea is to be flexible when it comes to the budgets that you're recommending to your clients. And that just limits the number of keywords that you can potentially get them on for. As simple as that. So when they're having challenges when it comes to budgets, as a marketer, you have to think, okay, well, they have $500 or $400 to spend in their ad budget for their PPC campaign every month. So what do I do so as to maximize the $400? Well, just limit the number of keywords. That's a simple solution. So instead of going out there and trying to rank them for like 20 or 30 or 40 keywords, if the client's got a limited budget, what I would do is that I would basically take that budget and then just shrink their keyword list and the ad list. So if they just have like $300-400 to spend on a PPC campaign every month, I'd probably be bidding on just their top 4 or top 5 keywords that are the highest, best converting keywords for them, and ensure that their keywords, their rankings, and their ads are displayed right at the top, like the top 2 positions, the top 3 positions that have the highest click-through when it comes to a PPC. So that's how you can strategize as a marketer, where you just basically limit the number of keywords. So you're running a very tight campaign for clients that have limited budgets, and then maximize their exposure for those for those keywords. You can also incorporate day parting, which is a very effective tactic when you're trying to work with a limited budget. For the first month or the first couple of months, run the campaign all across the board 24/7, but start seeing as to when you're seeing the leads come in. And this would require some pretty detailed targeting at the vendor end, where the vendor can tell you where the leads or what the most productive time of the day is to run your campaign. So you start geo-targeting your campaign, and this is great for defeating your competitors, because you're going to always keep your competitors guessing. So if you end up realizing that, let's say 10 a.m. to noon, and you also have to look at time zones, right? Eastern, Pacific, whatever the time zone is your best time to convert your leads, and that's where you're getting the best traction, then the idea is to shut your campaign off for the rest of the day and utilize the daily spend that you have during those 2 hours, and make sure that your ad is at the top, your keywords are all at the top for those 2 hours, because you've done your day parting analysis and you've understood that those 2 hours are the best times of the day to run the campaign. So why even run your campaign in the other times when you know you can just spend your entire budget there? That's the best time of the day to generate leads and beat your competitors who are still trying to figure out what their day parting analysis is. So it's all a matter of strategy when it comes to maximizing a client's budget. What's the cost for SEM Rush? That's a question by Mark Patton. Mark, I believe their basic plan starts at 50 or 65 a month. I'm not really sure. I think we have the $100 plan that gives us unlimited access to the tool, but I believe the basic version starts at about 50. But they have great offers all the time, so you can always check out their website. There's some free trial offers as well that you have. And again, as I mentioned, if you need any analysis done for any of your prospects or your current clients, shoot us an email. We'll definitely be glad to pull the reports, have our team pull the reports and send that over to you. Shout out to Bob. Bob has a question. Is the Pro SEM Rush worth the $69 a month as a prospecting tool? My personal opinion, Bob, it's a phenomenal tool. And again, if I was a smart IC, I wouldn't spend the money. I would probably get my production center to spend the money. So, but it's a great tool. I mean, for the ICs that are kind of like, Lone Rangers, they like to do stuff themselves, it's a great tool. Again, for the two benefits that I mentioned. Benefit number one, finding out the low-hanging fruit right at the beginning and the onset of the campaign, and that's the keywords that you go after so that you can show quick wins to your client and make them happy quickly. And then the second thing is for showing the other keywords that the site has benefited from and not just the core list of keywords that we're optimizing the for on a month-to-month basis. So that's the second benefit. So just for those two benefits, because that's such a strong retention tool for a client, I would recommend that spend just for those two reasons. Bob Peterson asked the same questions that are cost of this tool. We just covered this right now. Gabriel has an interesting question. Does the SEM software work for Mexico, the Spanish language? So that's a great question, Gabriel. I'm going to see if the Mexican information is actually in one of their drop-downs here. Let me just check if they have Google Mexico. I don't think they have Google Mexico right now, Gabriel, but you know what we'll do? Just shoot us an email, and then we'll check with SEM Rush. We have our account executive there, so we just shoot us a quick email at info@wsilm.com or armando@wsilm.com. We'll check with the SEM Rush associates and get back to you with an accurate answer. Adriano has a question. Is this presentation available to us? If yes, where? Yes, Adriano, the presentation is being recorded. I did press the record button. I was very, very particular about that. So the presentation's going to be put up in Google Groups. It's going to be put up in K2. We've started utilizing K2, and K2 is being rolled out by Home Office to a lot of the ICs. So the presentation is going to be put up on K2. It's going to be put up on Google Groups. It's going to be put up on Yammer. And if you do want a copy of this presentation, please shoot us an email, and we will send you a copy of this presentation. Adrian has a question. Great information. I will be in touch about some prospects. Terrific, Adrian. Look forward to that. Daniel again had some appreciation for the webinar. Terrific. Thanks, everyone. I think that's all the questions that we have. It was terrific having everybody for this webinar, and we look forward to having you on our webinar next week, Tuesday, same time, 11 a.m. Eastern daytime. Oh, Mark has another one. Do I look in a specific K2 group? It's actually put up in the entire network, Mark, so just look for WSI ALM, and the information, the presentation should be there, I'd say, in the next 4 to 5 hours. Terrific. Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.